Well, we're going to have a bit of an unusual chat this morning. We promised you a couple of divers on the show this morning, and they'll be going to the Aquatics World Championships not too far from now. I think they're leaving on Monday, and the competition is starting next week in Japan. And Zalika, Methula, and Stefan Steenkamp are joining me in studio. They're part of Team South Africa that will be representing the country there. To both of you, thank you so much for your time. Let me start with you, Zalika. Beautifully clad in South African colors. You go to St. Mary's,
yes,
right?
I do, yes.
Let's start with how you got, just tell our viewers how you got into that school. There's a beautiful story there.
How I got into St. Mary's?
Yes.
Well, basically my parents really fell in love with the school, and so obviously I decided to go there, and I've loved the school ever since, honestly. The culture, the love, and the community is just amazing. And
in terms of on the sporting side, there was a sporting reason you went there.
No, 100%. Before diving, I did rhythmic gym, and I was actually quite good at rhythmic gym, and then I decided to stop rhythmic gym because I didn't really enjoy it, and then I decided to go to diving. And so one of my coaches said I have a really good talent in diving, and so I decided to pick up the sport, and then over the years my love grew for the sport.
Wow, I just need to find out how that happened. The love grew. It's quite an unusual sporting code to pick up growing up here in South Africa. Stefan, thank you so much also for your time.
Thanks.
You're a bit older.
Yes, a few.
Who's 17? You're 17,
yes,
right?
I am.
Yes. Already a star, already has a pedigree to her name. Yeah. You go to tax. You corrected me when I said TUT.
No.
You go to tax, and I understand you study biokinetics.
Yes, that's right.
You did sports science as well.
Yeah, so I started in 2019. I started with my undergrad in sports science. And then last year I graduated with distinction, and I'm now doing my honors in biokinetics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are you a diver?
Long story. I was doing gymnastics, similar to Zalika's story. I was just doing trampoline gymnastics, not rhythmic, because rhythmic is only a female sport. So I was doing trampoline gymnastics.
Thank you for that, because we know nothing about this. We're just here to learn from the two of you. So any information, please.
So rhythmic gymnastics is the one with the rope and the ball and the batons and a hoop and all that kind of stuff. Where trampoline, and it's predominantly women.
The Simone Biles.
No, that's artistic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so rhythmic is the one where they don't have a bouncy floor. They just have floor, and then it's got the different apparatus. Okay. And it's predominantly women who compete in rhythmic gymnastics, where artistic is the floor, the beam, the bars, the parallel bars, pommel, vault. Yeah. But besides gymnastics, so I was doing trampoline gymnastics. I had an injury, and I went to a municipal facility in Pretoria called the Young Diving Centre. And I saw there were diving boards, and I actually didn't know that there were something like that in Pretoria at all. So I was like, well, maybe I can do a somersault or two. And it started, and that's where my love, I think, was planted.
So you say this was 2019?
No, that's when I started studying. So I started doing diving in 2014. Yeah.
So quite a bit of experience under your belt already.
Yeah.
And you guys have been selected to Team South Africa, obviously, for the World Champs. How did that come about, Zalika?
So basically, at SA Nationals, we all are trying to find a spot to go compete at the World Aquatics Championships. So in the synchronized event, my partner, Bailey Hager, and I qualified for this event, and obviously we dived really well in that competition, so I'm really happy about that.
And it's synchronized. What we see at the Olympic Games, and you've got a couple of divers there, one jump, two jumps, and a couple of somersaults, and it has to be perfect in the water. Just give us the technicalities there then. How is it scored?
So basically, the judges mark you from when you stand on the board, and obviously you have to try to be as neat as possible. In the air, you have to try to be as neat as possible. In your entry, you have to try to be as neat as possible and try and make a minimum amount of splash in the water. So there's a lot of things that have to go into diving, and it's obviously very hard. It's not a very easy sport, and that's one of the reasons why I fell in love with it.
So if you happen to have a slip in your preps there before you get into the water, that's already points deducted.
Yeah.
And if you have a splash in the water, Stefan, that also, that's a bad thing.
Yeah, it counts against you. I heard a commentator say once that the splash has to not be able to fill a teacup. So if you can imagine...
What?
Yeah, so if you can imagine a full-grown human being going in through the water at 35 kilometers.
It has to be smooth. 35
to 45 kilometers per hour. Usually the guys weigh around 70 to 80 kilograms and the girls are between 50 and 60. You imagine that going through the water and trying not to make a splash to fill a teacup.
It's quite hard.
It's a challenge.
Oh, guys, I actually never imagined we have a team that actually does that. And we're obviously looking forward to how you guys will be performing. You have Olympic qualifiers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're hoping that you guys will be there. But how did your selection come about? Do you have to go through some of the sort of qualifiers, SA nationals, something like that?
So both of us, we actually represent two different provinces. Zalika dives for Central Gauteng Aquatics, where I dive for Northern Tiger Swimming, the Pretoria branch, I suppose. And then you have to qualify at your regional competition, so either at CGA Champs or at NTS Champs. And from NTS Champs, you go on to SA Nationals once a year. It's held in April. It's either up here in Joburg or in Durban, and then from there you have to qualify a minimum degree of difficulty and a minimum score.
Yeah.
And according to that, the selection committee then makes a decision whether they are willing to send you to World Champs or not. Yeah.
Zalika, what I want to know, because when I said it's not a normal thing for, especially a black young girl growing up in South Africa to pick up. The first thing your parents will ask you if you say, "Mom, I wanna be a diver," the first thing, can you make a living out of it? Can you live off of diving as a professional?
I wouldn't say you can really live off of diving as a professional. Many of the high elite divers, they don't have diving as their main job. They obviously have an additional job to that, and they're obviously still studying, but I definitely don't think you can live off of it.
In the future, maybe? Do you think there's some measures that could be taken to try and improve that? I mean, obviously, if it's your skill and your talent, you want to be able to be fully professionalized and be able to make a living off of it and not have to do it part-time.
No, I definitely would like to make a living off of it, but I think if sponsors and endorsements could come in, I think that could help us make a living out of the sport. But other than that, I don't think so. I would love that.
Oh, okay. Sorry, you had a brilliant 2022. You represented South Africa, I think, in Hungary, in Canada, and I think those performances, along with your performances at the SA Nationals, were responsible for your award at the Gauteng Sport Awards, Most Promising Athlete of the Year.
Yes, yeah. I think I've been working hard over the past few years, and now that my achievements are now paying off, it's honestly amazing. And I'm really grateful for everyone who's helped me through this journey. Amazing.
Stefan, what do we then want? There's always a mandate, maybe, from the powers that be, maybe Swimming South Africa or the federation, SASPARC, whenever there's a big competition coming, or our athletes going to represent us, what's the goal going to Japan?
So I think the big important part or thing that we want to achieve as athletes, and I'm also a coach, so the one thing that we want to achieve is recognition, first of all. We are a small sport, fair enough, but we want to be seen, okay? So it's good to have this kind of opportunity to come sit in studio with you guys and have a talk about it. Then the next thing, the most important thing, I think, would be facilities. Facilities in South Africa are lacking. So we miss out on about 3 to 4 months of practice every year because of winter. We have got no indoor facilities to train. So, for example, Zalika and I have been training in Joburg over the weekends, and we try to do it in the warmest part of the day. The pool is still kept warm, but it's still cold outside. I mean, you're training in conditions where it's 17, 16, maybe if you're lucky 18 degrees Celsius outside. So facilities would be the main thing that we, I think, as athletes need in South Africa, quite frankly.
Yeah. All right, guys, we do hope that that situation improves, and as you said, Zalika, corporate South Africa sponsorships would help a lot in trying to make sure that you guys can at least have some financial incentives in the sport that you love and do. Thank you so much to the both of you for coming through to Newzroom Afrika and chatting to us. Good luck in Japan. We'll be watching. We'll be rooting for you. So that's Stefan and Zalika joining us, part of Team South Africa going to the Aquatics World Championships in Japan. Well,